and I got a foul tip to the face. Yeah, it hit me square in the mouth. And so, I mean, that's just a kid foul tip. I couldn't imagine getting hit from like a collegiate or a professional baseball.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming back to another recording of Foul Ball Safety Now Talks. I'm Jordan Scopp. I'm here with Brianna Ludwig. We're in the middle of April. We're into the professional baseball season. Many of the other professional seasons will be starting soon. Colleges are long underway, probably playing many, many games. I'm not tracking that as much, but in the last year or so, I started paying attention to the lay of the land, what's happening at college fields as well. Foul ball safety now started back in 2019. I saw something very disturbing on the news. Nobody should ever have this experience. It's actually highlighted in a 5-minute video we have at Foul Ball Safety Now called Exhibit A. When we saw on the news, or at least I saw on the news, a child getting slammed by a foul ball. And unfortunately, that status of the lack of netting exists still in many places, and it's unacceptable. At least as of the end of 2025, there were still 30 to 40 cities who host baseball still had lack of netting past end of dugouts where this little child was hurt in 2019. So part of my 7 years has been working with an investigative reporter reporting all these new incidences that we've been finding, w interviewing victims, people that have been affected by foul balls going years back. Also interviewing baseball players who've had the opportunity for the first time to unburden this conversation on someone else outside their inner circle. Because for the most part, many of these baseball players, they kinda kept quiet. They may have only mentioned it to family members about the safest baseball experience, where to sit, where to park the car, because it's not just inside the ballpark, it's outside the ballpark as well. We've discovered things over the years. Just about a year ago, I get a call from some lawyer in Modesto, California, and he says, "Hey, man, help us out with our case. What happened? The woman was outside in the parking lot, got struck by a ball, hit her in the head." So there's anywhere from a few to many balls hit within 3 or 4 hours that definitely hit the pavement or hit the window, and in this case, hitting the lady in the head. And the team does nothing, they retreat, and they don't even take care of the victim, they make them find a lawyer. You would think that after these incidences were happening, of course, they would then change the way people would enter into the ballpark. They don't do any of that. They know it's going to happen day after day after day. So even an apology and taking care of the woman's medical bills, what does that say? Why are they allowing regularity of balls coming down, hitting the pavement, the window, or the person, or the next person? And what do you tell someone who will have an opportunity to share more with us in a little bit? Brianna, who's got a kid coming up on his 2nd birthday, and where do you tell Brianna and her baby where to park the car? And let them know that it's gonna be a safe experience, parking, going in, going inside, having a snack, getting back to your seat, where they not have to worry about getting hurt by balls. That's one case. There was another case that Brendan and I have been following. It's a heart-wrenching story of a child that was hit by a bat. We have an ESPN video of a major league game 8, 9 years ago. It shows what happened. Mother's turning away, and the bat comes at them, and you can see it. It's terrible. Same thing. Team retreated. Family didn't get the first class treatment that they should have gotten from day one after this situation had unfolded. Billionaires did not roll out their doctors and specialists to make sure this child and family were never alone. And unfortunately, it wasn't until also last year, around this time, maybe at the beginning of the year 2025, we get a call from an attorney saying, "Hey, help us out with our case." Brendan ended up doing about 40 hours worth of work preparing them for their trial, and then it turned out there was a settlement. And this kid ended up being nonverbal. One side said it was because of the bat, the other side contended maybe not. At the end of the day, the family got a settlement, but it wasn't anything much. It was minimal care for the child for the rest of his life. The family got nothing for pain and suffering. All of this, fortunately, we found out about this through the website and the presence on the web because people are discovering us, like these two attorneys. So a lot has been going into what is going on in Fallible Safety Now. It's continuation from renting out airplanes, which I've done, which going to court, which writing a letter to Topps baseball cards. We all grew up collecting baseball cards. It was always the name Topps. Topps celebrated a woman who got hurt by a 110-mile-an-hour ball by putting her face on a baseball card with the big black and blue mark, printing out 110 cards. And it was like almost like a publicity thing for Topps. And we wrote a strong letter to them saying, "What are you doing? What kind of message are you sending? Why are you celebrating the fact that somebody survived a 110-mile-an-hour ball like it's a badge of honor?" And people can see the outreach in the letter that I wrote. So we're just doing different things here at Foul Ball Safety Now, and we're following news. News is important because that's what we do. It's just the three of us that are working on this. And if I had three people like Brianna and Brendan, we'd have a lot more information to present. I'm sure of it. There's so much baseball going on, and we're just getting started with the colleges. So, news of the day, just from what I discovered, was a situation in Seattle a couple of weeks ago. You could see there's a video of a ball hitting a teenager, 18, 19-year-old, maybe 18-year-old teenager right in the back of the head. And it's really scary. And he may have had a concussion. Brendan and I, we've connected with the family. So we're not sure exactly how that's going to go and where they're going with that situation. But we hope, of course, this young man has a speedy recovery. Nobody should be hurt at a baseball game. Tell people in advance that there's a risk and this is what the risks are. And if they're of age, well, then fine, I guess. But tell them the reality that near misses are part of the day and direct hits happen, and they happen a lot. Thousands of people have had life-altering experiences. Brendan and I have experienced meeting a lot of these people. The gentleman whose wife unfortunately got hit at the Dodger game, we connected with her husband, Erwin. She got hit at the Dodger game in 2018 and died a few days later. Her husband was very kind to speak with us years after, and he came to 7 of our virtual press conferences. His daughter, Jana Brody, wrote a book, Sit Behind the Nets, which is obviously a powerful title for a book, and somebody who lost their mom. So she was trying to make a point, certainly in the book title, that it's never been a free ride. There's always been conditions and strings attached, and we just never knew about it. And there's been other people that we've interviewed that have been injured. Brianna, how are you today?
Doing good, Jordan. Excited to shed some light on this topic and do what we can to educate anybody who's listening and discuss with our guest host. So, without further ado, I'd love to welcome our guest host on for the day. She is a virtual manager and former baseball player herself, Sean Giffen. Welcome, Sean.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Hey, Sean. We're really happy that you're here and you're representing your own experience, and you may have some thoughtful questions for us.
Yes. So my experience with getting hit, I was about 11 or 12, and we were just playing, neighborhood ball, and nobody's parents actually really thought about, protective equipment or anything like that back in, I mean, heck, when was that, 92 or anything like that? I mean, I don't think they really care about it today either when you're playing. And I was always catcher because that was my favorite position. And I was playing without equipment, and I got a foul tip to the face. Yeah, it hit me square in the mouth. I know I got knocked out. I can still hear like the noise in my head of getting hit too. And so, I mean, that's just a kid foul tip. I couldn't imagine getting hit from like a collegiate or a professional baseball ball. I mean, it knocked me out, bloodied my lip. Luckily, I don't think it broke any teeth if I can remember. I just remember waking up and my whole bottom part of my mouth was just so swollen. And I remember my friends walking me back and my mom just looking at it and saying I didn't need stitches. And we all know how moms were back in the like back then. They just didn't want you in the house in the summer. And so I just kind of got a bag of ice and was turned right back around to go back and play. And then later on, I developed like a non-cancerous, a benign cyst on my bottom lip, and I don't remember my mom or doctors ever saying it came from that. I don't even know if my mom ever mentioned it, but now that I'm older and I think about it, I think that might be like what caused it to happen or caused it to form. And I had to have
Yeah.
surgery on it 3 different times, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the ball is a very hard object, obviously. They haven't figured out, I guess, for the most part, how to protect the pitchers who are getting line drives straight right back at them. Maybe they've tried a few different things. I even think a guy on the New York Mets tried out some sort of pitching helmet for a while, but it seems not to be the prevailing idea.
Yeah.
They're still going with just caps and their faces are exposed, and, it's gonna continue.
Ever since got in or you guys got in contact with me and everything, I've been looking up just more and more, and it seems that like I don't understand why they don't make the nets like tighter. I mean, I know it's for like maybe they want people to be able to see and fans to be able to see everything, but you would think that they would be like the tension would be tighter. The tension seems pretty loose.
When you say tension, do you mean that balls are going through the nets?
Or well, when they hit, they're going at such a velocity that they're not going through. They're just the net can't like stop it as easy, and it's almost like the net goes into the crowd too, and the ball still go. You know what I mean? It doesn't go through.
That's happened on occasion, but that's not what we're really addressing. Because
Yeah.
there's still too many exposed areas. Like,
Oh yeah. That's
if your face is pressed against the net, not a good idea. Your
yeah.
fingers your fingers are, like, holding on to that net. No, no, don't do
But they
that
don't
because
even
your
extend out
fingers
to
will
the.
be crushed. Yeah,
They
go
should
ahead.
extend out to the foul pole. I think.
So people are under the impression that there's been a lot of improvements. Now, improvements are good, but who's deciding exactly where and how far the net should go? Is it one guy wearing many hats at the MLB office? Or is it a group of architects, engineers, and designers who thought this through and determined because they've been studying every ball and where it's gone for the last 10 or 20 years. I have a feeling it's been the former. It's not been the latter meaning a team of people that have
Yeah.
understood the data. And for us to keep talking in 2026 about potentially just one guy at MLB wearing many hats where there's no thought process that we can see, wouldn't it be more accountable if we knew exactly what the process was like? And I don't think there's any of that. And unfortunately, that's why I always say we're in the dark ages because we don't know any of this until we're affected by this. So even the illusion of extended netting is an
Yeah.
improvement, but it doesn't mean it's a solution. And we want solutions. We want people to walk into the fancy term ecosystem inside the ballpark and outside the ballpark, where Brianna and children don't have to be surprised. And they can know exactly what their expectations are in going to the game experience.
Yeah. So they
And
don't have a governing, like, kind of body almost like
no.
I mean, the NFL has people that look at the helmets and how they're getting hit, but they don't have anybody.
We haven't discovered any, and we've been calling for an outside agency or an independent netting council because
Yeah.
they're people that would understand exactly what the risk factors are prior to the game, inside the game, the whole experience from parking the car to leaving. There should be a game plan and a roadmap for people of all ages. And wherever the risks are, just please tell us the risk. What a concept. But it's not being demonstrated. And we like that. We welcome that. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's not the case. We're discovering new people all the time. Now coming part of the life altering injury club that nobody wants to be part of.
And I think it's funny that you mentioned that because
Yes.
I think they say it I think they give you, like they say something about the risks on, like, the ticket, but it's really
Mhm.
small, and it's, like,
Eh,
all the way at the bottom, like,
mhm.
the fans that come to the game are assuming all
Sure.
risks or something like
Mhm.
that, but it's very little, and it's at the very bottom.
Yes, and that's really the legacy. That's really all they can share with us. They've never really shared anything
Yeah.
else, and I think that's an embarrassment once people realize, yeah, people have been aware of that language because 'cause they've seen it, but it's been in microprint, and now you
Yeah.
can't even find that microprint because many of the tickets are now e-tickets, so
Yep.
you'll have to really go searching for it, and it's never been a topic of discussion on why people would or would not go to the game. Maybe now that families are part of these recordings with us, they now think again and understand that it is a regular thing and that they've been told in the microprint or on the e-ticket, or now when they may be at the game, by then it's already too late. You're already sitting there and they're telling you, even by your cup holder, that you should be careful. But
Mhm.
at the last I checked, we're not at superheroes and action figures. What are we gonna do about it when it does come? We're not there to defend ourselves and our kids, you know? So it's
Mhm.
like we're not meant to get out of the way. Once people see that 5-minute video that was produced in 2019 by ESPN, which we call Exhibit A, I don't know what else you need to see, and you'll understand that prior to 2019 at MLB ballparks, sure, you're gonna realize that you could have been there 4 times a year over 10 years, and we have something called Exhibit A1, which is almost like retracing your steps. That's a published report from 2019, same year that video came out. Plus, Brendan and I incorporated a lot of research, and we included it into a 2025 tab, which we call Exhibit A1. You can almost retrace your steps, and you're gonna realize, certainly at the MLB level, you sat in certain sections in 2018, 17, and 16. Maybe you came 5 times a year with your family. You were sitting in harm's way 15 times a year for sure. You're gonna see that video and be like, "Why the hell were you there?" It almost demonstrates how many foul balls go into those sections. Like, it was almost 50%, 49 point something percent of foul balls went into those hot zones. And you're going to see, like, wait, were those balls coming at 20 or 100 miles per hour? And you're going to realize that a lot of close calls either were there when you were there or direct hits when you weren't there. Certainly, you would have remembered the direct hits, but nobody associates on their own that those near misses that hit the beer or hit the chair and, make an explosion of some kind. Everyone has a nervous giggle, but nobody leaves, right, Sean? Everyone
Yep.
hangs out. It's like, "Oh,
Yep.
that came close. Ha, ha, ha. Look at that person. He got all spilled with beer. Ha, ha, ha." But nobody goes home. And management should have been telling us that near misses are direct hits as well. So
Mhm.
we do have a lot on the website that people can almost retrace your steps, and still in 2026, I'll be making some calls coming up in the next few weeks to all of the other professional cities that have not extended nets, that still have the same setup as that 5-minute video from 2019, and it would be fair for any judge in any one of these 30 to 40 cities, if it was, let's say, a year ago, when I already knew this, 30 to 40 cities did not have netting past end of dugouts, that if a judge saw that video in one of those 30 to 40 cities, it would be fair for them to say no more human beings should be sitting there at all, period. You can't get
Yeah.
out of the way. They would put 2 and 2 together. They may even have a relative that goes to one of those games. So, we just want everyone to see, and we have an opportunity to demonstrate, connect the dots. That's what I do with foul ball. Of course, we want others to, figure it out, and we can figure it out together. So that's what we do.
I do know that our AAA ball team that we have here, the Indianapolis Indians, I don't think ours, now that I'm thinking about it, because I remember we had won tickets to go to a game with my daughter, and she was
Mhm.
only like 3 or 4 at the time. And I did not want to sit down there because,
Uh-huh.
we didn't have a glove to take with us to protect her if we could. I mean, I don't know if that would have worked, but I remember
Right,
we sat up higher just
right.
so we weren't in the line of any kind of a foul tip or anything.
But you see, you're a baseball fan, and you came with an awareness,
Yeah.
and as a baseball player, and you said we should have a glove, but you may also answer your own question by realizing that many people, even with a glove,
Love.
other people in those same seats are 11. Are they ready for that? and even a third baseman on his night off who's enjoying a night with their family, are they really ready for that ball, or should they be? So,
Yeah.
I think kids should be able to play patty cake. I think people should be able to have a tender moment with their loved one. As much as I hate distraction and phone, people should do whatever they want in their seat
Yeah.
because that's what you're doing. You're enjoying the night out. You're not there to defend. And if you are, please tell us and tell us in advance and educate us, implore us, and or make it 18 or 21 and older, age appropriate. You are taking a risk, dude or person. You are gonna take one or one right past your ear. You good? Sign here. But they're not doing that. Running with bulls in places like Spain, it's very clear that you're taking a risk, that you're
Yeah.
running with the bulls and you're not bringing the little guys with you when you do it. Not a cool. You can't bring the little ones. You can be a daredevil. You can't. And if baseball was true, they would be marketing their sport that way forever. And they just never were. And they're bringing the little guys in there that had no business being there to begin with.
And if you have people down there and they're having a good time and they're maybe drinking alcoholic beverages, their response time isn't even going to it goes down so quick. So they may not even be able to protect themselves.
I don't care if they're
Yeah.
straight as an arrow,
You still would
looking,
yeah.
kissing the loved one, playing patty cake. You should be able to do all of the
Yep.
above. Hang out on your phone as long as you're not screaming and talking to somebody and disturbing the neighbor. But,
Yeah.
you could look at your phone, mind your business. Paying attention should not be synonymous with defending for your life. It
Yep.
should be more, again, we're not in a position. So all things like reaction time, sure, and alcohol or whatever,
Yeah.
less, get it,
Yeah.
understood. But, designated driver and have as many as you want. It should be the way it should be sold. You can get on Kiss Cam when the game is going on. Sometimes you see the Kiss Cams.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do whatever you
Yeah.
want. Kids should be able to play patty cake and
Yeah.
not worry about it, you
And as much as
know?
you're paying for tickets, you shouldn't have to worry about it at all.
Yeah, we have those distractions already at the game, like with the Kiss Cam and other things. So, but you should have your own distractions too. You should be able to do whatever you want for the 3 hours and just enjoy yourself. And wherever the risk remains, you need to sell it. And I mean, not sell it, convey it. And just
Yeah.
tell us this is what's coming. And this is where you're signing. You ready for the risk factor? Then come on in. And that's what it should have been displayed. Not once you're at the game and they tell you, even on your cup holder, be careful of a foul ball. That's not the place where the information it should be
Yeah, because 'cause you're already in
started.
there.
You're already there, outside the ballpark too. So we're just trying to make all the right sounds that remind everyone that they can think about their experience, past and present. Let everyone know that so many people have been left behind. Brendan and I have interviewed so many people, not only Erwin Goldblum, whose wife unfortunately was hit at the Dodger game and died a few days later in 2018. He came to us a few years later, was part of 7 of our virtual press conferences, also interviewed with us. But we also interviewed a couple of people, 2 people that I can tell you about that were both blinded in one eye. My lawyer's friend was blinded in 1979, and that was a very interesting story because she was very kind to talk with us years later, and in between the time she was blinded and talked with us, her 8-year-old was playing baseball sometime during her life and playing Little League, and she was nervous. She was telling us how she was relieved when her 8-year-old gave up the game of baseball. And she was maybe relieved because she was worried that maybe the kid would unfortunately have the same thing happen to him. And maybe the kid was also trying to make his mother happy, and he knew that she was nervous from him playing games. And maybe he's 30 now, Sean, and maybe he's telling his own child, maybe you don't want to play baseball. Look what happened to your grandmother."
Yeah.
And it's a generational effect. All these families, these thousands of families or more, are generationally screwed. They're just because it's never been properly addressed.
Yeah.
And they know, and there's really no genuine apology because it could happen to somebody else on another day. Go ahead,
And I don't
sorry.
know if they even really help them financially at all?
It's a crazy cycle. It just
Yeah.
it's they try to give you tickets maybe to come back. How can they what there's no
Yeah, I wouldn't
genuine
wanna go back.
apology.
Yeah.
Another person we interviewed, she was like 9 or 10, she was unconscious for 4 or 5 days. We got introduced to her from a pediatrician. I was having these conferences where I had something posted on Indeed. It said pediatricians wanted to organize conferences with other pediatricians, and I offered hundreds of dollars an hour. So guess what, Sean? I had a lot of pediatricians that applied for the job, and I had 2 conferences from those posts. So those were interesting, experiences where I had, like, a handful of pediatricians in a virtual room, and I was getting an opportunity to tell them about the issues. So one of those pediatricians, that I had met with on a one-on-one call, did not have a conference with her, but even on one-on-one calls, when people are inquiring, you get a lot of networking going, and she said to me, "Hey, Jordan, I may not be able to host or produce a conference for you, but I know a family, somebody was hurt by a foul ball. Would you like to meet them?" "Sure." So we interviewed with this little kid who's now 30 or more, a mother of 2. She's got psychological, physical issues. She was knocked out by a ball for 4 or 5 days, and the team offered them tickets, and the family took them up on it. And I think she's going through gift remorse now. I think she may be a little upset with her parents for taking those free tickets because as a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old, she was excited to go back to the game, but she realizes as an adult, maybe that wasn't the right move by the parents, and in retrospect, as they would say. She was like, maybe mom and dad should have not taken the tickets and told the team, how about take care of the problem so it won't happen to anyone else? So that was a great
Which
interview, and maybe that'll be published in one of our upcoming books. So all very interesting stuff.
I can only imagine, being in that 1%, that less than 1% club where you've been seriously injured and it's impacted you for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
What like year after year, season after season, to see it keep happening to other
Mhm.
people and wonder why the problem's not getting fixed. And I think people deserve to make informed decisions. And I can say as a parent, like I know more than the average person because I've been working on this campaign for a year and a half. Sean, you had a personal
Mhm.
experience, so you have a bit of a different perspective. So when you were taking your daughter, the thought was in your mind, but I think a lot of people who aren't as aware for no fault of their own, just because the
Mhm.
information is readily available, they're just thinking that they're gonna give their children a beautiful childhood memory. They're gonna get the kids out of the house and have a fun time, and, if
Yeah.
you told the parents that, "Oh, somebody was blinded in this section, somebody was concussed in this seat, somebody, went to the hospital that was sitting a row above you," do you think that they would let their kids sit there? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, and I definitely wouldn't, but I know so much that I'm at the point where I wouldn't even take my child to a game because I
Mhm.
know that you cannot guarantee the safety in any part of any ballpark, and not even just the ballpark, but the parking lot and outside. Like,
Mhm.
mentions is this woman in Modesto who was hit outside the ballpark waiting to go in, so
And people never think that it's gonna happen to them, because it's such a like you said, it's a 1%, so nobody thinks it's gonna happen to them until it does.
Yep.
yeah.
It's much less than 1% actually, because, we can't tell you if there's 100,000,000 baseball fans, we can't tell you that there's been 1,000,000 people with life-altering
Oh, yeah.
experiences, but there's been thousands, and that's just too many, and this new person that we just saw in Seattle, Brendan's in touch with the mom. I mean, this is crazy.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't
maybe
know.
not directly, but maybe indirectly because you
Oh,
said it. I mean,
yeah.
generational. Yeah.
Oh, definitely, definitely, for sure, but in the physical nature of it, we
Yes,
know
yeah.
people that have had thousands, there's been thousands, and we're not just, pulling these numbers out of the hat. We know there's been some substantial studies prior to me even coming on board, or when I did come
Mhm.
on board, there were some studies put out. Brianna's even finding self-reported injuries on social media in 2025, self-reported injuries. People are putting their black and blue marks on TikTok, and these are balls that are making their way over nets and knocking people hard. Some of those people may have had concussions, I'm not sure, but some of the injuries were very visible. And some of the testimonies were, "I'm never going back to another game again." So it's happening. It's still happening, and it's happening a lot and too much. And when people say how often, I say too often.
Yeah.
And I think once people realize that it could have been them, they're going to empathize with the 99 percenters that never really thought it was an issue and always came to the game with not really thinking about it ever being an issue. Once they realize situations, we have one narrative that we're going to be putting out, hopefully in the next few months. And this is regarding another situation where a lawyer found me a major league game, videos on ESPN, bat makes its way over the net, everyone sees it, mother turning, she has an infant, and the baby turning, and the mother turning. So I think I touched on that. And that's going to be very powerful because it was a whole thing that went on for many years. We're able to pull out transcripts from the proceedings before the trial started because there was never a trial. It went to a settlement right before trial was going to begin. But all the minutes, all the proceedings that led up to the settlement is public record. And a lot of people are going to be scratching their head really hard and saying, why the heck did this family have to go through all of that? And whether there would have been billionaire doctors at this family's disposal, and would that have made a difference in the child's prognosis or outcome? Don't know. Certainly not a doctor, but it certainly would have been comforting if the family knew right away that these billionaires were in their corner and making sure that this family was never alone and had access to all their doctors. And certainly, I don't know if the nets were extended in this particular place after the bat went into the seats, how long it took, all of that stuff. Fans are gonna scratch their head, and they're gonna realize it could have been them, and I think they're gonna be, very empathetic and sympathetic to them and saying that could have been us a day later, a week, later. So we're in the middle of it all. We try to remain positive, foul ball safety now. It's always very exciting when we could talk about this issue. I'm finding things just on YouTube, some more head scratchers, just watching teams that I like. There's 15 games on. If there's 30 major league games, there could be 15 games in one night. And I'm usually only watching 2 of them on YouTube, and they're about 15 minutes long. And I'm even picking up things just in the last 2 weeks since the baseball season started, just by watching 2 games out of 15. So,
I mean, are there any statistics about, I mean, I know we were talking about line drives, but I mean, any statistics on that besides that? I mean, I know a couple of pitchers, I mean, I've seen a couple of pitchers just get like rattled, not
mhm.
even in their heads. I mean, just their bodies. Are there any statistics about that? I mean, I know like a pitcher couldn't wear like full body armor or anything, but I don't understand how they don't know how hard and fast these balls go.
Well, I think they do, and,
They just don't want to
but
own up to it.
well, no, I mean, what happens on the baseball field, that's
Yeah.
why that they making billions of dollars. They can figure
Yeah.
out or not what to do. I'm more concerned about the
Well, that's what I
fans
mean. Like
that
even the
never had a
fans.
seat
Yeah.
at the table. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's it. People say, "Jordan, big picture, what do you want from these owners?" I really want these owners out.
Accountability.
Well, I want them right because you
Yeah.
it's under your watch. So these billionaires need to go, and new billionaires need to come in and need to have a fan representation of what's happening and make sure we demand the highest standards. And I think those new billionaires would be receptive from day one. You would hope so. And it's really all about accountability, right? It's under your watch. If you own the team, you can't claim, oh, that's not my department. No, no, you own the team, man. So what
Yeah.
happens inside and outside your ballpark falls back on you. And you guys have disrespected the fan base for the legacy has always been 1970, 14-year-old boy gets hit at Dodger Stadium and dies a few days later. That certainly would have been a beautiful time to start this discussion about exactly what's happening above the dugouts and how many near misses are there every year and how many direct hits are there. It wasn't until 45 years later till the Nets went up maybe above the dugouts. And
Mhm.
that's not cool. And it's still in some of the minor league places, from where I went to court in Peoria, Illinois, there was no netting above the dugout, an affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals, till the beginning of the 2025 season. That's why I kind of singled them out. They were one of the worst offenders. Cardinals paying the salaries of the Peoria Chiefs and allowing them to conduct business without nets above the dugout.
Yeah, that's
Terrible.
crazy.
That's I wasn't up until they got it done in the beginning of 2025. I'm doing netting reports 21, 22, and 23. Still after that video aired in 2019 from all the minor league affiliates, and people can see 1/3 of the teams at the time, about 40 out of 120, still had no netting above the dugout. Those 3 seasons I did the netting reports, that was like 3.5 years after that sad video from ESPN, which showed sitting past end of dugouts. And then there's still about 30 to 40 cities in the MLB partner leagues. There were still 70 plus cities from 21, 22, and 23. 70 cities conducting business without netting past end of dugouts after that horrific video from 2019. Crazy. And now there's about 30 to 40 MLB affiliates. Judges need to see that video. And, they should deem it unsafe, period. Unsafe. No negotiation, no human being.
Yep.
And if adults want to take line drives to the neck, then let them sign a waiver. Something like that. That's just the way it is. We're in the dark ages. And I hope one day we'll reflect on, you remember those dark ages back in 2026 when business was done a certain way? But, we're not there yet. We have a lot of work to do. We need to create that ecosystem inside and outside that we can all agree upon. So I'm going to keep talking about it. And it's always exciting to get inquiring minds that want to know.
Yeah, Sean. So thinking back to when you would play baseball, would you ever think about the damage that an errant ball or an errant bat could do? Did that ever cross your mind when you were playing the game?
Yes and no. I was more worried about hitting my one of my teammates or I never ever thought about, which it now makes me feel bad, but I never thought about hitting like another like a fan or anything like that or a parent or anything. But I was always worried about like the bat slipping out of my hands and hitting a teammate or a foul ball hitting a teammate. Not, unfortunately, I don't know. It's a strange concept. I never Now that I think about it, I don't think ever as a kid I thought about hurting a fan. And I know it wouldn't be me specifically hurting that fan, but at the same time it is. I mean, I would feel guilty if something happened. Like I mean I would feel like it's my fault if I hurt somebody. And so yeah, I'd never thought about it, I don't think. I think about it now obviously, but thinking back then I just was worried about hurting another teammate more than anything.
Very interesting. We have a post.
Yeah.
I have a post currently up on Indeed, and baseball players are having an opportunity to speak with me about this issue for the first time. So they do that one-on-one and in hopes that maybe they'll bring together some of their buddies and we'll have a place where we can talk about it. It's all off the record. It's giving baseball players an opportunity to almost like unburden themselves and talk about this for the
Yeah.
first time. So I'm picking up a lot of information just on the one-on-one calls. I've had 2 conferences, and they've been okay, but even just the one-on-one calls, they're gonna continue, and people see the post. It's very simple, talking about their experiences inside and outside the ballpark, and were they ever concerned about it, that kind of thing. And they're talking to me, and it's really exciting. Brendan and I have also interviewed more than 30 baseball players. This was something different. The post I have is really about getting one guy who knows a bunch of guys. That person I can pay, but I'm not paying anyone to be interviewed. I'm paying this
Yeah.
guy to get 4 to 6 people together so we could talk. And then from there, maybe one of those 4 to 6 guys will interview with Brendan and I. They're not gonna get paid. But somebody who gets 4 to 6 people together, they should be paid because it takes time to gather 4 to 6 people. Everyone has to agree on
Yeah.
an appointment, which is fine. So we're picking up a lot of information there. It's all very exciting. And we shall continue these discussions at Foul Ball Safety Now. And we welcome the next time we do this again. So, Sean, if there wasn't anything else, we want to thank you. This was
All right.
terrific. And we'll do it again soon, everyone.